adulting comes in with a lot of independence and responsibility. So how easy is it for you to meet the demands of paying bills and running your errands?
Talking about bills, how do you make the right financial decisions for yourself?
Or others that you connect with, be it your friends, colleagues, or loved ones.
As you grow up, navigating life can be difficult, including relationships, and you might be wondering how to handle all this.
This is the show where we talk about the dynamics of adulting and how young adults maneuver through it. Life has no manual. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Powell Tower and this is Adulting 101.
Good morning, my neighbor. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay?
Welcome to the show. Adulting 101 is centered on areas and things that young adults are not taught or told about being independent. From the Kenyan dictionary, we understand that adulting ni kalongolongo on a budget. What do I mean? Nobody knows what's happening, and those that have it together claim ni God. For the rest, they just have a plan, say inshallah, and repeat. So this show is all about helping a young adult, guiding them into being self-sufficient. And with that said, let's kick off this show with one young man who was, against all odds, made strides in the financial sector as an entrepreneur. Have a look.
Good afternoon. My name is Noah Karore, CEO and founder Noah Distributors. Noah Distributors started right in 2018. That was when I joined Daystar University. We started by selling water, eggs, socks, and hiring earphones in the computer lab. Currently, we are doing bike hiring. We're also doing moving services.
I am Wilbert Kiprop Limo, a partnership in business with Noah. Nimemjua for the past 3 years right now when he started selling some boxer, socks, and even taking water delivery. That's when I knew Noah.
My name is Loro Dimitri. I'm a friend to Noah. I met him while in campus. Noah is a good guy. He studied his business in campus while he's selling socks and mayai.
I took a business course which opened my mind to know how to come up with business ideas, especially in one of the classes that I remember, Marketing 212, whereby the main highlight was meet the need of the customer. And that's how you get the need, the idea of a business.
He inspires me as a good gentleman, hardworking, waking up early in the morning, or he start coming from the house to his business.
The way Noah inspires me is mostly how he works, because he's a guy who wakes up in the morning and comes and reports the job, regardless of holiday, let's say even functions. That's how he motivates me. Yeah, he forgoes other things and he comes here for work.
The main challenges experienced is getting the right people to work with. Getting that good team that can drive your vision ahead, that you can really work with in your business. It's a big challenge. You get someone today, tomorrow he or she is not feeling like working. So that's the main challenge. Another challenge is funding. If you want to expand, sometimes it's a challenge to get the money to expand your business. To overcome the challenges, I've tried to ensure that I get the right people to get the job done. Normally, if someone doesn't do a good job, I fire them. If someone is doing a good job, I motivate them to keep working better and better. The funding challenges, I try to save with the bank and with my various applications so that you can get loan. When you get loan, you can further expand your business. So that's how I've overcome the challenges.
My name is Ronald Henry. I'm a client to Noah Distributors. The experience was okay because at first it was scary, but within time I got to know how to ride quick, and I also got to know how to change the gears, which through the help of Noah, I knew them.
My advice to the young people, for those who want to start their businesses, make sure if you want to start your business, make sure you identify a gap in the market. You know, I think the challenge is the most youth is if you see a person doing a certain business, you also want to start. The best thing is to identify a gap in the market, meet a need in the market. Listen to people, what are they complaining about? What is lacking? Even if it's the same business, what does this business do that you can do? What does it what it doesn't do that you can fill that gap? So ensure that there is a gap that you're meeting for you to make a cut in that business. And also, if you are already in business, be consistent, and you know that business, for it to give you returns, it takes time. Thank you.
Welcome back. I mean, what a way to begin a show. In studio with me is a young adult. We're going to talk about adulting. So she is on her 4th year. This is the best that could actually happen to her. I would love for her to introduce herself. I don't know about ladies with their age. However, I will not be the one telling you about that. So if you are just joining us, you can follow us and join in the conversation at Adulting101 on Instagram and Twitter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
What is your name? Who are you? Who are you?
My name is Eugenia Washira. I am 21 years of age.
21.
Like you said, I am in my final year.
Yes.
My undergraduate, and I am just I'm standing on the cliff between officially being responsible for myself wholly, and it has been an interesting time.
That's nice. What aspect of adulting are you finding difficult?
What aspect am I not finding difficult?
All of them.
It's being able to juggle everything.
Top of the list?
Employment. Yeah.
Employment.
Money. The money.
Securing the bag.
Securing the bag. Being responsible for my own livelihood. Because now it's no longer call up your parents type of age. It's what are you doing to make your own money type of age.
So how did you venture into that adulting? What shocked you most?
I think I'm glad that I got to live on my own for a few years, so I am responsible for my own budget. But it's now being able to financially manage myself. I am now my own parent.
Yes.
So I can no longer go live with outside of my means and then call up my mother for money.
Sure.
Now I have to live within my means and know that when the means end, there's no other
Kujipanga. Yes.
Exactly.
Actually, that's one thing I would really want to further know about the financial status that brings about mental instability with those that end up living alone, perhaps away from parents. Has it affected your mental health, being alone, deciding upon your budget, what to eat, what not?
I think it's a different type of anxiety to be responsible for your own money, because when you sit down and you deduct the numbers,
yes,
then it's week 2 of the month and you're like, okay, so how exactly am I supposed to survive the rest of the month? Because when you're with your parents, they almost shield you.
Yes.
The reality that is money doesn't grow on trees.
Yes.
The moment you paid rent, you paid food, you paid utilities, you paid transport, you look at what is supposed to be your savings, and you're not entirely sure where the having fun part is supposed to come in. All the things that you see on Instagram and you want to do and you want to be, but your financial status just won't allow you.
But you seem to look like you have your life together? How are you coping with adulting?
Why, thank you.
How are you coping with all that you're saying? It's hard. What is it that maybe your parents are no longer doing, for example? How are you coping with it?
I think, especially now that I'm about to finish my undergraduate, I
Yes.
think there's this phenomenon that happens where your parents now start looking at you like an adult. You are now the person they call when they need something, when they want something. I have more responsibilities that I need to handle now, and it's a little anxiety inducing because I don't want to mess up. That's the thing. I don't want to mess up. I want my life together, but
So what can you actually maybe perhaps tell the world that you've learned away from your parents? What is it that it's self-taught? This is adulting. This is happening to you and you alone.
I think the one thing I would say would be you will always be juggling a lot of things as an adult, and the only thing you can do is prioritize. Because I remember I was on a phone call with my aunt and I'm telling her the semester is doing so much and I cannot find the time to breathe, to do what I want to do. And she said, no one should lie to you that as an adult you will just wake up one day and have nothing to do. You'll always have things on your to-do list. You'll always have things scheduled. So you have to prioritize and do what's important to you.
Yes. Now, I would want to invite a psychologist with us so that we can further continue in the conversation. But I would want to know from you, perhaps, what is it that you have done to yourself that has helped you actually cope with adulting as a young adult? Where do you balance? I've heard you talk about you have to do something every day. Or kwa semester ameanza series mpya, for example. Where do you draw the line that maybe this is what I have to do and this is what I want to do?
I am an aggressive planner. I write things down in to-do lists. It's an endless to-do list, but it always makes me feel better when I have structure, when I know what is at the top of my list and what has to get done today. Then the rest, I give myself grace. Because we're on a floating rock in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes you need to take a breath.
Yes.
And be like, okay, I got these things done. I don't have to get everything done, even though I'm a little hard on myself when it comes to that, because we're living in hustle culture. You have to constantly be moving. You have to constantly be going. So prioritizing, writing down my to-do lists, and taking a breath at the end of the day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
With that said, I would love to engage you on our socials if you have not. But if you have any questions concerning whatever we are talking about, you can hit us up on the description comment box below. And right about now, I would want to invite an amazing lady. She is a clinical psychologist, and let's just get into it. Introduce yourself. Who is Winnie? Let us know where you're coming from, because we really need to help ourselves.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Winnie Orodi. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I also work with young people, preteens and teenagers over the weekend. It's a passion that I have, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. According to you, when does adulting begin? Maybe if you talk about the mental structure of a human being, at what age should someone start thinking about themselves as an adult?
Okay, that's a very interesting question that you have there. So when you look at the education system, we are grouped as you transition from high school into university, the expectation is that you're being initiated into adulthood.
Yes.
Culturally speaking, adulthood starts when you go through the cultural initiation process. So it really depends on what sphere you're in. When does adulting start to happen? But I don't think it's a particular age. I think it's a period of transitioning that I would say that varies, I would say, between 18 and 25. Yes. Chronologically speaking, when you look at how the brain develops as well, that's when your brain reaches maturity. Of course, neuroplasticity continues over as you continue to grow. Research is showing that. But I think by around 25, we expect that you've become
Absolutely.
yes, an adult,
I
a
think
young
I would
adult.
agree with
Yes.
you. But do you think age is proof of maturity?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
With,
really, not
with that
really.
said, I would want to know, can someone actually manage adulting alone? Do people just wake up and become adults?
I think that that would be almost impossible. I don't know of anyone who's gone through that. When you look at, we are social creatures, yes? We grow through modeling, observing other people. When you look at behavioral psychology, behaviorists believe that we are modeled into the different people that we become, yes? Of course, there's the innate predispositions that we have. We have certain tendencies, but a lot of the things that we become as a result of the environment in which we are in. So there's a lot of mentorship, a lot of guidance, a lot of coaching that goes on.
Yes.
Yes.
Earlier we were discussing with Eugenia that there is the balance that a lot of young adults don't get. How should one approach adulting, especially the moving out, the living alone? It's weighty on their mental health.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What would you advise?
That well is very interesting. How is that going for you?
Let's say I'm journaling.
You're journaling. I think that's a good step. There's something you were talking about that I thought was really interesting, starting to prioritize. And there's also something that you talked about, living in a world of social media, and in a very capitalistic world. You need to make it by 21. You said you're 21, yeah? Yeah, there are people living in Silicon Valley, the ultimate dream, and all these things going on. So
would you term it as a journey for a 21-year-old to appreciate where she is right now? Or must she have a goal set that at 25 I shall be this and this and this? For example, given an opportunity, or rather asked, where will you be 5 years from now? A lot of young adults look at themselves as maybe failures, not having achieved a lot, with the previous generation having a different set of a lifestyle. And yeah, I think they're looked upon as people who waste time, or maybe simply because of their life choices. What would you advise a 21-year-old who now really wants to make it big?
Okay, I think that's a great question. And what I was trying to get at when I was talking about comparing and living in a social media world, the milestones are really changing, you know? Maybe in our parents' time, what you needed to have done by the time you're 21, 23, that is constantly changing. I think part of becoming an adult, it becomes really important for you to start to define what those milestones are for you, as opposed to using other people as a yardstick, because you do not know their context. Your context is very different from them, yes? They might be aspiring to all these other things. So that starts with a lot of self-awareness. Where am I going to? And really trying to move away from a goal-centered life to a system-centered life. Look at your systems. Do your systems work for you? As opposed to, for instance, I'm working towards achieving this particular, like you're in school, right? There are grades that you want to achieve. So after you've achieved that grade, then what? There's always that feeling like, okay, what is the next goal? What is the next goal? It's like you're chasing a mirage. So there's a very interesting book, Atomic Habits, that really breaks it down to, can you have functional systems? I know it's very difficult living in a world that is constantly comparing you to everybody else, people who've made it at 12, and you're being expected to perform at the same standard. But to move back, go inward and ask yourself, what are your competencies? What skills do you have? And how can you use that? And look at what are the small daily incremental things that you can work towards, as opposed to this grand goal that you want to achieve, you know? Yes.
All right. I mean, that's amazing. One last thing from you. I would want you to point out the wrong things young adults are doing. Point blank. What is it that they're doing wrong? And of course, there are those that came before us. I believe that anyone who saw the sun before you at least has that experiential advice. What can you advise the young adults, the next generations to come? What are they doing wrong that maybe perhaps they need to switch up?
I would say currently I'm still pursuing my master's. What I'm observing, I'm not saying that this is what all young people are doing, but there's there's a serious increase on substance use. And that is really derailing us as young people. When you look at the rate of suicide, depression, and all these other mental illnesses that exist, some of them are exacerbated by using substances, alcohol. And right now it's really being glorified. You're talking about, okay, this is how much I have and I'm supposed to budget and somehow have enough to go out from Friday, I don't know to when. First of all, it eats into your finances and you're just starting out. So I'm assuming the pay is not all that. Your parents are cutting you out. So you're introducing a stressor. And again, using substances, when you look at what substances do in our body, they really reduce our ability to perform, ability to be creative, to apply ourselves and to be progressive and proactive and to have that agency. Because now you're looking at people on Monday, they're nursing a hangover. So by the time they're picking up momentum, it's already midweek. So you miss out on little opportunities. And again, it goes back to systems. The systems that you have, are they really working for you or against you? And really being very honest. So what I would say in regards to young people today, what we are really doing wrong is maybe we need to cut down on the substance use or address the issue. There are social drinkers, but then there are those who are drinking to numb themselves or to cope, because there's a lot of something called dual diagnosis. Let's say you're prone to anxiety. It's not clinical. It's not been diagnosed clinically. So let's say you drink and you realize, oh, I'm a bit calmer. I'm able to deal with the challenges of life. I've forgotten about my budgeting situation for a minute. I can forget about my stress. So you feel like that works for you. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It introduces a whole other dependency. Yeah. And we are creatures of habit. And over time, we are a result of the habits that we have.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We need to pay our bills. But before we go on a short break, I would want to know if you have any question for our psychologist. Is there anything disturbing you as a young adult that...
I think my only question would be, how do you said stop comparing yourself to everyone else's milestones, but how do you be? Like, how do you stop going from I have this to do to I have this to do? Like, it never stops. We're living in a capitalistic world, as you said. So you're constantly on the go. You're constantly on the move. And that can be a little stressful on the mental health. So how do you, get to a point where you're like, I have the things I need to achieve and the things I need to get done, but in this moment I am okay. Like I am existing within myself and everything is calm.
That's a very important question to ask yourself. First of all, it starts with self-awareness. Yes. Are you aware when you're burnt out? When you're stretched too thin? Are you applying yourself too much that things are falling through your fingers, When you're aware of those indicators, for some people, they start to get chronic headaches. For some people, they can't seem to get out of bed. For others, they lose their appetite. Others cannot sleep. Others, you find that your relationships are strained. So you should be attuned to those indicators. Those are like to tell you that now you're getting into the red zone. Maybe you need to cut out. Maybe you need to say, no, I don't need to go out this weekend. Let me just take time indoors to rest and recalibrate. Yeah, I say that really slowly. So it starts with that self-awareness. Know when do I optimally operate? And a lot of us are like children. They'll go play, do all these things, but at some point they're tired. They're very irritable. They just want to nap. But when we become adults, we forget to throw a tantrum because now we want to go back. We keep going and going and going. So it starts with knowing what are those indicators for you, because they're different for different people.
So being in tune with yourself.
Being in tune with yourself, knowing when to cut back. And also constantly asking yourself, what systems do I have? and what am I working towards? Otherwise, you find yourself going, pursuing things that are not even fulfilling in the first place. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. I
Thanks
mean,
for
what
having
a way
me.
to begin our first segment. It's only fair that we go to a short break, but when we come back, we still have a trivia with my live audience who are looking amazing, super amazing. We still have a session with the life coach. We still have more. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this break.
Oh, sasa nyinyi nimekaa hapo, nyinyi unangoja chai na mtu ninasaa iba ng'ombe changu kwa jokoni. Ng'ombe? Endeni kwa duka wa Nyakundi hapa hii. Ambieni yeye nimesema nipe nyinyi ng'ombe mbili. Sita maji wa chai ninachemuka.
Ng'ombe, Awilo umesema utupatie ng'ombe mbili. Ng'ombe. Hii ndio ng'ombe. Tumetumwa. Awilo. Si ungesema maziwa.
Usiseme maziwa, sema ng'ombe.
Oh, ng'ombe.
Usiseme maziwa, sema ng'ombe. Molo milk, fresh, original and affordable.
Thank you so much and welcome back to Adulting 101. Before we continue, in studio I have a life coach, but without this live audience, we wouldn't be making it happen. So I would want to invite the cries and all the moans and the clapping and maybe Mashango na Mandurus are young adults from the live audience. Let me hear the young. How young are they? How young are they? You're going to know how young they are at the end of this segment, as they will be having a question asked to our life coach. With me in studio is a wife, a mom. I would want her to introduce herself. She is a writer and editor to a lot. I mean, she has done a lot. Let me just, right about now, without wasting any time, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Who are you? Introduce yourself. Let the people know you from how you want to be known.
All right. Thank you. My name is Mrs. Anne David Mwende. That's my other name. And I'm a mother. I'm married and I have 2 kids. I'm also a faculty teaching in corporate communication. I've taught media for close to 8 years, but in life, there's always a shift. So at some point, I shifted and I moved to corporate communication. And yeah, I'm also a YouTuber. I vlog a lot on inspirational stuff about life. So basically, if you follow my YouTube channel, I talk about things that inspire people to be the best version of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a life coach in studio today, we felt best that we should have someone who has handled young adults before.
Yes.
Would you love to share with us the ages of your children, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One of them is actually 23. He cleared university. He's currently working. The other one is 21. She's out of the country trying to find out what she wants to do with her life. So basically, kind of an empty nest at the moment. Yeah.
and how has it been being a parent to young adults?
Wow. In fact, it's interesting because a few years ago, I was looking at the photos of my young kids, coincidentally. And I was looking at them and I was like, wow, we've come a long way. Today, they are on their own and we've had all this journey of life together. But currently, because I'm also involved in church ministry, I deal with young people a lot in church. So I don't feel like I'm out of touch with young people because I deal with them almost every other time in church. So my kids, biological kids, as well as the other kids in church.
So what would you advise these young adults on how to deal with the whole attitude of making it too quick? Or
yeah. First of all, I need to say we are living in a world that is very superficial.
Yes.
I mean, today reality is a very abstract concept. And so most young people, because now we are talking about young people, they are not living reality. They are living a false reality.
Yes.
A false reality that has been unfortunately brought about by social media a lot, brought about by movies, brought about by peer pressure from their friends. And so the reality, in Kenya, they love to say vitu kwa ground ni different.
Yes.
And that is very true. What you see on the outside and the reality is very different. So I think I would say, let's first of all have a reality check. A reality check means, for example, what kind of family do you come from? Against the people you meet on campus, against the friends you meet out there, the life they are living, which is far from who you are. And I'm not saying you don't aspire to be great, but don't let them influence you to such a point that you make wrong decisions so that you can fit in. So people need to make a reality check.
So when you talk about reality check, where is the balance? Because I feel like finances are the biggest challenges with young adults. So how can you advise on the balance of life? Basically, they want to live within their means.
Yeah.
They also want to enjoy life.
Right.
There is the whole angle of saving. They're thinking about the future. So how do we do that?
Good. I mean, good question. And as I was coming, actually, I was listening to a station and the person was talking about financial management. And I thought this is interesting because he said, if you're living in a house, if let's say at 30 years, you start living in a house of 30,000. By the time you're 60, God giving you a long life at an interest of 12%, you will have spent 86 million. You can do the maths later after the show. 30,000 Kenya shillings. And so he said most people live lives that they don't really need to. If you're a single person not yet married, why go rent an apartment of 45,000, for example? Seriously speaking. You can still get a house of 15,000 and then use the 30,000 to make an investment in life. So I think the balance would be look at what you earn and go by the principles of the business gurus that say, save a particular percentage, spend a particular percentage, and then invest a particular percentage. So if you have a job, look at how much are you saving, how much are you spending, and how much are you investing. If you're spending everything or overspending, meaning you're spending even what you don't have, you borrow shoes. People, I mean, I'm surprised people buy phones on installment. What is it called? Sorry, I almost use Swahili.
Yes.
I
It's
guess
actually installment. Higher
installment,
purchase.
Higher purchase.
Yes.
A kid is buying, a college student, a phone of 100,000, paying on higher purchase, really, what for? To make an impression. So I think it's about, be real. And I know that's easier said than done.
Yeah, true.
But 95% of the people you seek to impress don't care. Honestly, they don't. Yeah, so let's be real.
Hey, Mrs. Ann, with all honesty, actually that leads me to the next one, the impression part of it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we need to really talk about relationships.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there is pressure on young adults to be in relationships, or rather, how should they approach?
Big time. And usually you just get to know by looking at college students in their discussions. It's like, Yani, you're just alone. Yani, there's no one.
There's a difference between being lonely and being alone.
Yeah, like, is there a rush for what? I mean, this person you live with for the rest of your life. What if God gives you to live to be 100 years and you are in a rush into a wrong relationship?
Mapema and your best.
No.
You need to do this thing as soon as possible.
No, let me tell you. You will live with this guy, unless, of course, or lady, your wife, unless you're planning on cheating, which is not something I ascribe to. But if you really intend to have a happy relationship. By the way, are we talking about marriage or dating? Where are we drawing the line here?
Well, you tell us, you are a parent
Yes.
to young adults.
Yes.
From what angle would you want to actually advise young adults
Yeah.
in terms of navigating
Okay.
relationships?
First
How
of
do
all,
they manage that?
I know this might sound old school, but really, I don't advocate for let me try a relationship here, try a relationship there. It does, at the end of the day, and I know because I believe in also God's divine leading as you see with your eyes,
Yes.
because He will not lead you divinely when your eyes are closed. At the end of the day, you need to ask Him, who is this person that you intend that I live the rest of my life with? The same way you'd be asking God, I want to live in this place, Runda, Kitsuru. I don't know why people never aspire to live in some other places that I'll not mention.
Today.
But the leafy suburbs, it's a dream for most Kenyans, isn't it? Or whatever country you're living in, there are leafy suburbs. Most
Yes.
people aspire to live in the leafy suburbs where the air is more, purer than the other places.
Tranquility.
Yes. So now, in the same manner, if God is concerned about the food you eat,
Yes.
the clothes you wear, and, you know, the minor details that don't look so important, how much more the person that will be with you every minute, every hour, not so literally to speak, but at least they'll be there. They're your life partners. Don't you think he cares enough to really guide you to the right person? So this thing of dating 7 people in the process of finding the right one, I don't think so. I think you need to get to a point where you know what you want, and if you know what you want, then you will do elimination method. This one doesn't have those qualities. So, you know, so finally you will end up getting, and again, this would be a topic for another day, long topic, which I can't delve into, but know what you want.
Yes.
So for example, if you say, I don't want to marry an alcoholic, are you yourself drinking? Are you walking down that path? And you're busy saying, I don't want to marry an alcoholic. But if you're into the road of alcoholism, why are you asking for someone that doesn't drink? So you want to mess up someone's life, but you yourself don't want to walk that road. So for me, I would say it's good to know what you want, number one. And number two, don't be desperate to get into a relationship because you think men or women are scarce in this world. There will always be a more beautiful one, a more handsome one. But I totally, really advise young people to really seek the one who brought them to earth. That is something I would never be ashamed of saying. Because if you don't seek God's divine leading, of course, with your eyes open, that's what I'm saying, then you might go down the wrong path. And in life, you find yourself probably dealing with a second, third, fourth divorce. And I don't think anybody wants to deal with that.
I also don't think so.
Yeah.
Now, I would want...
Because kids might be, you know, you might have a child from this married, that child, it might be a messy affair. That's why I'm saying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that said, I would want to know what is your advice on the bare minimum as a young adult that you should be like this before getting into a relationship or rather marriage, or what is the bare minimum you think young adults should actually have or be so that they can...
Okay. First of all, I know this show may not be limited to people that necessarily have Christian beliefs. So I understand that. But I would say, first of all, I can answer it from a Christian perspective, and then I speak from it from a general perspective. If I speak from a Christian's perspective, then I would say, first of all, God is not a God of trial and error, whereby he will tell you, try X, try Y, try W. He will lead you, and I know this is debatable, to that one person that your heart knows, I love this person. Someone said, if you're asking, do you think I'm in love? Then you're not. The moment you love someone, you love them. You love them with all your heart. And that is why if they walk away from you, you'll be brokenhearted, you'll be crushed. So for me, the bare minimum would be that kind of person that you are seeking. You know, like you have your dream person.
Yes.
Are you that dream person? Then number two, have ideals in life that, you know, society has norms, kawaida. Society has norms.
Yes.
Are you living by the norms within the society? Let me give you an example. I mean, when I got married, I've been married for 24 years, by the way. When I got married, before I got married, I was like, who's this guy gonna be? How is he gonna be like? And one thing is, I didn't want a stingy person. I knew I can't deal with stingy.
Kings.
You know?
They look for money.
But I wasn't looking at a guy that had money. In fact,
Yes.
the truth is, at the time, maybe my example will help answer that question. At the time, he didn't really have it. But I'm glad I didn't look at the outside in terms of the monetary
Yes.
value, because later on in life, what was, if I judged that, would have been proved wrong many years later.
Yes.
So I would say, look at the person. What values do they represent? What do you represent? Value system. Is the person caring? Is the person, can you work together in this journey of life? Do you share the same vision in life? Do you have the same mission in life? You cannot have one, they want to be a DJ, you want to be a pastor. It will not work. Especially a DJ in a club. It will not work. You have to have a vision that's aligned. And I'm not saying it's wrong to be a DJ in a club, personal choices, but I'm just saying let the visions zikaribiane kiasi.
True.
Yes.
All right, before we invite the audience to ask you questions, because you are a life coach,
Yeah.
I know they have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I would want to know, at what point do you realize as an adult this is something I am not supposed to be doing? We've had a previous guest who was shown us that actually the biggest problem with young adults is substance use and abuse.
Yes.
What would you advise young adults?
Wow, one of the things I've discovered that is a non-issue to young people today is sex outside marriage. In fact, they're surprised, you're surprised that they're having sex. Are you getting my point? Like, are you getting what I'm saying?
No.
The young people, as a parent, I'm surprised that young people are having casual sex outside marriage.
Yes.
So the young people are surprised that we, the parents, are shocked.
It's a
that they
total
are-
different generation. I think
Exactly.
they're metropolitan. So they can access different cultures
Exactly.
On social media and whatnot. Are young adults picking what is just working for them and moving with
Exactly.
life? Is that something you would advise against?
Okay. First of all, let me finish the first question I was
Yes.
giving you. Yes. So the young people having sex outside marriage is not something that we parents are saying don't. The one that created the sex itself says don't. But they go ahead and say, God, I think you don't understand the generation we are living in. Just let us be. It brings a lot of problems with it, you know, because one, if you have sex with one person, you will want to do it with another person in the name of experimenting. So by the time you're married, this person is not enough for you because you have had all these multiple experiences. So I ask, if God says, stay within the one marriage, and then again, I also add a disclaimer that it sounds old school. Do you want to tell me he was wrong? Would you answer me as the host? I know you're the host. Was he wrong?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't wrong, right?
Mhm.
But we have a world of young people that are
Yes.
saying, you don't understand. Just let us be. When the time comes, I will stick to this one. But how will you stick to this one when you've not been used to one? I think I've answered that question.
Yes, you've answered. Yeah, you've
Yes.
actually answered it.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we will, let me know if we have sound ready for the audience. Do we have anyone with a question from the audience to our life coach? We need the tough questions asked today about life. This is Adulting 101. Yes, I
have a question for you.
Yes.
What is it that you found out into your adulting journey that you were not told, that you wish somebody had prepared you for, that you would now like to tell us about so that we don't have to go through the same thing?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a really good question. And I want to say one of the things that no one told me about was when I came to the city of Nairobi, because I grew up in a different town, then I moved to the city of Nairobi. My first job, I was 18 years old. So nobody told me that men would look at me like I'm not just a girl, because I was used to a community where girls are respected, you know, everybody
Yes.
just loves you for having been a very nice girl. Then you're thrown into a city where people are actually hitting on you, and I think they are thinking, what's wrong with her? She's not getting what we are telling her. And so because of my background, later now, of course, God helped me to overcome some those subtle kind of challenges, and let me call subtle advances, because, and amazingly, it doesn't matter where you stand, even on matters of faith, they will still hit on you. So I think that really came to me like, oh my God, what is all this? But I overcame, I must say. So that nobody prepared me for that. Yeah, nobody prepared me for that. Someone just tells you you're going to the big city, just be careful. Careful of what? So you get here and you're finding all these challenges, but I overcame. Yes.
Yes. Any other tough question? I guess as adults we need to seek advice for those that have come before us. Do you have any other question? Yes, from the audience.
You said that like there's no one who told you that this is how adulting is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So you found yourself there.
Yeah.
So how will you advise someone to how on ways of dealing with these situations where you have to take care of yourself because you don't have your parents taking care of you or warning you to do this and this. So what will you advise someone who's just getting into adulting?
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. One of the things that really helped me out is I had a very strong support group. I think in life, it's like most young people, the reason they go wrong is because they join wrong groups. For me, I think I found myself in a group that I must thank God for whoever recommended me to that group. And we were so busy, doing work out there, visiting the poor, mission work. I was really busy. So my weekends were not, I wasn't sitting in the house wondering, okay, what do I do? Who do I visit? I was very busy. So that kind of social support is very important. That's what I would say for young people, particularly. Find a social strong support for yourself that will help you not do the things that you might do if you find yourself alone or in the wrong company.
All right, thank you so much. Can I have another question from the audience? Thank you so much.
I have a question. Moving to adulthood is quite hard, like transitioning from being dependent on your parents to being independent alone. What would you say is the best method, or how were you able to cope with staying with good mental health and transitioning to being independent?
All right. Thank you. Today I know I might be accused for spiritualizing matters a bit, but I must say for me, my connection with God, my connection with my faith community really helped me, because it's like a family away from home. And I must say, and it was really a difficult thing for me to live alone, because I'd lived with my parents all my life. So my first time to live alone actually was when I moved to the city of Nairobi. And so I found it rather strange. I'm living alone. But now, because I had my girlfriends, we would visit each other. So I think that was one way of overcoming the loneliness and not having wrong visitors, if you know what I'm saying, in my house. And then I had also an accountability partner. In fact, I am so glad that partner, anytime maybe I would think of maybe doing something wrong or mess up, that name would always pop up in my mind. And I think that's one thing I would highly recommend. Have an accountability partner, someone that will tell you, no, you're wrong. That is not right. That dress is too short. I know that's not a popular statement. That cleavage is too low.
My dress, my choice.
Don't go to that place, please.
Yes.
I mean, 10 years from now, you look back, will you be proud? Don't record that video. What the internet never forgets,
Absolutely.
Will you be proud of that video when you are mama so-and-so, So I think accountability partners, mentors, and also a strong support group. Yes.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes.
So we heard about having that self-discipline, but then in adulting, there are definitely those external factors that mess up with you, and as students, how can you advise, how to do those balance?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, we all agree that when you have no money and someone is trying to tell you, hold on, hang in there, it's not easy.
Yes.
And then you're seeing your girlfriends coming with all this money.
Man.
They're being dropped in big cars.
Wow.
They're being picked by big cars. And I know these are things that happen, And so they're having nice phones. You're there with your kabambe or something closer. Hapo juu
The audience
kidogo.
are relating.
So a kabambe, and you're thinking, no, I'm not a saint, so I might as well try this life.
Yes.
So I think the thing is, decide how far you want to go in life. There are some choices, if you make today, will be at the expense of sacrificing your future. That is all I would say. Because there are many young people that have sacrificed their future for the pleasure of a moment.
Yes.
So that is what I would say. The pleasure of a moment is wearing fancy clothes, driving a car before you have a salary, because someone is paying for it, living in an apartment, but at what cost? So don't sacrifice your future for the pleasure of a moment. How far do you want to go in life? And that will determine what balance. And that balance means sometimes not looking so fancy, sometimes not having a good phone, sometimes not being in the group. But in the long run, you look back and say, I'm glad I made this decision.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now we want to take a short break, but before that, maybe I would want you to look into your camera and advise now parents. You've talked to the young adults, maybe parents with young adults, how you have managed, and those that are yet to be parents. How should they actually manage so that we don't have issues like kids having sponsors and whatnot? Perhaps take it away.
Thank you. I remember, I'll answer this question by saying that one time I was listening, I went to a conference and TD Jakes was actually around in Kenya, and he said that he met a young couple that wanted to write a book on parenting, and he asked them, how old are your kids? And these parents said one of them was 6, the other one was 8 years old. And then he told them, just hold on to that manuscript. Then when your kids are in their 20s, you can sit down and write the book. So what I would say is, parents, your children are normal human beings. They will go through the phases of life. I think at this point in my life, and I remember one time telling my son, there's nothing you would do that would cause me to love you less. So let us be that person, that parent, that no matter what your child does, they can still come back to you and say, Mom, I messed up. Dad, I messed up, and they will not fear and go tell a wrong person, and then they get the wrong advice. So for me, I'll say parents, especially for young adults, love your children, let them have a haven at home to come back to no matter what they do. Of course, let's not leave out the tough side of a parent, but also let's have the tough love, like they say. Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to have a trivia session with the young adults in the studio, my live audience. I want to know, ni nani anajua nini? This is Adulting 101. Don't touch the dial. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that marks the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 where we interact with the audience. This is Adulting 101.